Hello, everybody. And today we got to talk a little bit about the Eternals and how it has bombed at the box office. You don't want to miss it. All right, everybody, let's jump right into it. Because apparently, as has happened many times before, a movie can now bomb before you ever get a chance to see it. That's right, a movie can be a flop before you even have the opportunity to see it. So what's up with that? Well, let's examine that for a second. The Eternals is the latest victim. It's almost like this has happened before. And this has happened before. This has happened numerous times before. Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, even Spider-Man No Way Home recently got hate because they didn't put out another trailer. Hating on movies before they even come out has become the new fashion. Let's look at this movie a little more. When you're dealing with something like the Eternals, it is a bigger cast. However, according to The Quartering, who recently did a video talking about why he thinks it's going to fail, he thinks it's going to fail because it's too big of a group. Friends, have we learned nothing from the X-Men? The X-Men movie showed us, 10 X-Men? And we learned to like them. We learned that we had favorites. Some of our favorites didn't come back in the second movie or the third movie or the fourth movie or whatever. But we had favorites. If you watch Saving Private Ryan, there's a lot of characters in there to watch. The idea of saying that something will flop because there's too many characters is like saying it will flop because there's not enough. And that's wrong. So then he also goes on to say that it will flop because it's woke, diversified, and done different than all the other Marvel movies, something like that. Well, that's the problem. You know, times change, movies change, movies always have an agenda. If you thought your favorite directors and writers and producers and movie studios didn't have some sort of agenda going in, I'm sorry to disappoint you because they probably did just a little bit. They always do have to stay up with the times. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon how you want to look at it as a fan, that means that sometimes we get movies that seem like they have a little bit more politics in them. Star Wars has always had politics in it. George Lucas would tell you point blank that the stormtroopers in Star Wars came from the idea of the stormtroopers in World War II. That's a fact. Marvel, with the X-Men, was in fact influenced by the Jewish community being hunted down in World War II. Fact of the matter is, politics always exists in some form or another. The Eternals in the comic book have always been kind of this really different group. I don't know what to make of them. I just started reading the comics myself. I haven't read them in years and years. But that's the thing. I didn't fall out of love. I didn't fall out of love with the Eternals comics. That's not what happened. The fact of the matter is that the reason I didn't read them for so long and really didn't get a chance to read them is that I lived in Germany for a while and then in New York. And my comic book store in Germany, I would oftentimes pick 6 or 7 comic books and read them right there, as I didn't always have enough money to get the comic books. See, I could either spend my money on the comic books or I could spend them on toys or music. And sometimes the toys and the music won out. It didn't mean that I didn't read the comics. But the Eternals, I don't remember ever seeing it at that comic book store, so I did miss out for an extremely long time on them. Then I go to New York, and there wasn't a comic book store on the street that I lived in, and I couldn't even tell you where the closest comic book store was. So I didn't get a lot of chance to do that then. I got back to where I currently live, and then I started being able to read comics a little bit more. So now I know where the comic book stores are and I can go in there. Only now, I'm able to buy some and don't have to worry about maybe spending my money on this or that. So I have better options. However, and let's be clear, I still have to make choices as to which comics I read and which comics I don't. If the movie's coming out, I want to check out the comics. See how well the movie does at, the comic books themselves. So I've done a little bit of research on the Eternals. I've been trying to figure out where they're going to fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and overall, I have to say I'm excited. Sure, they made a little bit of changes to some of the characters. It's to be expected, and it happens. Marvel has had success at doing this, and if anybody's going to do this and be successful, I think it would be Marvel. However, of course, then you have the people that are going to hate on a movie simply because they're going to hate on it, because it's popular, because it sells, because it gets views. If you use clickbait saying this movie's going to be bad, you're going to get views. I'm not about that life and never will be. I view Rotten Tomatoes anyway as the enemy. As a fan of movies, I don't like Rotten Tomatoes. I know a lot of people do, and good for you if you trust them. However, what I see when I look at Rotten Tomatoes is couch potato reporters. Sure, there are some from reputable magazines and, news sites and stuff like that, but there are also a lot of people out there who can say they're reporters simply because they've done something for We Got This Covered. And I don't buy into that. And then also, if I can go in and review a movie before I've seen it, it's not a site I trust. I believe that in order to review a movie, you really need to go and see the movie. And that's my problem. So, here's the thing. The Eternals can't bomb yet. It can't bomb. It can't because it's not out yet. You don't know if you're going to like this movie or not like this movie. And no amount of critics or whatever should be able to tell you you're going to like it or not. You see, back when I was growing up, 9 million years ago, because I have a birthday coming up on Friday, and I'm starting to feel a little old. But look, back when I was growing up, we had Entertainment Tonight, and we had Siskel and Ebert, and they reviewed everything. And a lot of times, the people that were reviewing everything hated everything. Oh my God, they hated it all. You don't even understand. I remember seeing the dude from Entertainment Tonight hating a little bit on Superman 2. I think he said something like it was a fun film, but, but he didn't give it raving reviews. he had to say some critical stuff. Wait a minute. Critics? Critical. Critics? Critical. You see where that goes? All right. But look, here's the thing. This guy didn't like a whole bunch of films. And Siskel and Ebert, if I had a nickel for every film that they said was horrible that I absolutely enjoyed, well, I'd be a lot better off. But that's where that is. Rotten Tomatoes makes you and me into critics, and we really shouldn't be. I believe that a critic can also be a fan, but a fan should not necessarily always be a critic, because there are things about movies and about fandoms that I will take to heart so much that I become this sour little person, that I become the person that will say, oh no, this would never happen that way. But when that happens, when I find myself doing that, I take a step back and I look at it from the other person's perspective, because at the end of the day, we're all part of a bigger family in whatever fandoms you're in. And we have to kind of work together to make sure that our fandoms are still there. What happens if Marvel gets such bad reviews that Disney just goes, yeah, you know, we're going to do away with the MCU. We're just going to do away with it. Well, okay. And then Star Wars. We're going to do away with Star Wars because it's gotten bad reviews. Well, okay, now you don't have Star Wars and you don't have Marvel. And then DC goes, oh, well, you know, they don't like any of our movies either. We're just going to, you know, go our separate ways. And pretty soon you don't have the superhero genre. I don't know if you remember, used to be this genre movie called the musicals. And the musicals were great because, you know, they were stories and, you know, they had action sometimes and, you know, sometimes they had drama, but they always broke into song right in the middle of the movie. And, you know, Gene Kelly would be singing in the rain. You know, and it happened. It happened. You know, these people in the musicals would just break out in song. But pretty soon what happened was that these movies weren't selling tickets. They weren't selling tickets. They were getting bad reviews or something. I don't know. But pretty soon they're outdated. The Westerns the same way. How many Westerns come out in a year? So, you know, you have to take into consideration eventually the superhero genre will probably die down. But the quickest way to make it die down is to review it before you watch it and just outright put hate on it. That's not being a good movie fan, and that's not overall being a good fan. What that does is takes away the thing that you're a fan of, and not just for you, but for the actors, for the directors, and ultimately even for the people on YouTube that want to hate on it for views. So that's where we're going to end this video today. But remember that on this channel we talk about all things fandom. We talk about them in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you know you've come to the right place, and we want to hear from you, so leave a comment in the comment box below. Also, make sure you're sharing this video with all your friends. Make sure that you hit like, because YouTube likes it when you hit like on the videos. It lets them know, just like the comments, that our videos are great. And make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because Miko thinks we need more subscribers. And, well, look at this face. Who? Look at this face. No, don't look at this face. Look at this face. Who wouldn't want to subscribe to that? So, definitely, if you love Miko, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video we do. And friends, remember one other thing. Be safe out there. Oh, and yeah, fandom is family.